Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy and welcome to the only destination for the Civil Services UPSC English aspirant. We are here in our final leg of the Conquer Prelims 2024 series. We have been doing a lot of effort to get the best question analysis for you, the best MCQs for you. If you have been liking the series, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel, share your love in the form of comments, likes and shares. Okay, we are here to also tell you about an important announcement. The announcement is about the Unacademy's All India Prelims mock test. Now, why is this important? As we are nearing the prelims, it's not just important to keep studying and revising, but it's also very important to checking what your progress is. This is a very good opportunity to do that on an all India basis. Please make sure that you note the dates, which is the 29th of May as well as the 2nd of June. We are going to have the GS paper from 9:30 a.m. and the CSAT paper from 2:30 p.m. This will be a very good way for you to evaluate your progress. You will be able to know where you need the course correction if at all you are lacking in any particular topic. It will also give you ample time, almost 15 days, to go back to your subject and do that adequately well in terms of course correction. Having said that, let's understand what we are here for. We are here for the segment which is the government schemes. I will be taking up government schemes in 3 segments. One is part 1 that we will do today, and part 2 and part 3 will be done tomorrow and day after. The last section will also be very important because that will cover the important reports and indices which are important for the coming prelims examination. Okay, so having said that, let's begin with our today's question. Everyone, please be ready to see the question on your screen. I'm sure you know about the drill. Please attempt the question in about 60 seconds that are given to you. Then we will discuss that question at length. So consider the following statements. These are questions very important because agriculture has been a sole focus of UPSC. There have been questions around the Kisan credit card scheme, the soil health card scheme. So it is important for us to check the flagship schemes in the agricultural sector. So these are questions which are lengthy in nature because I will try to increase the coverage. I've clubbed in a lot of schemes as well as a lot of facts which can be important for UPSC. Please read the question, take your time and attempt it in about 60 seconds. Then we'll have a discussion on the same. Everyone, please participate in the live sections. I will be also asking you a lot of questions on the minute details, quizzing you for very small facts, and that can be helpful in remembering those facts also. So please attempt the poll. Poll is missing. There could be a technical glitch. Allow us to check once. Allow us to check once. No problem. Allow us to check once. Please give us a minute. Yes, I think it's visible on your screens now. Sorry for the technical glitch. There was some issue on the server. Please attempt this. Yes, I can see you all attempting the poll. Everyone, please do that. Done? All right, let's discuss this. So this particular question, all of you, a lot of you, majority of you have voted for B. 43% of you have voted for B. Let's analyze this question and then discuss which are the correct option. Consider the following statements. The first statement is a comparison between two schemes related to the farmer as a beneficiary. Becomes very, very important. This has been the focus area of UPSC PYQ questions as well. The eligible beneficiaries for PM Kisan can be land-holding farmer families who own land more than 2 hectares, but the eligible beneficiary for PM Kisan Man Dhan Yojana are only the small and marginal farmers with land holding less than 2 hectares. Now they are basically asking you who can be the eligible beneficiaries or not. That is the analysis, that is what they are checking. Please note that this statement is absolutely correct. Earlier there was a restriction when PM Kisan, which is a financial assistance scheme for the farmers in the tune of 6,000 rupees, which have to be given in 3 installments. 3 installments. So this is given in 3 installments in the PM Kisan scheme, irrespective of the size of the holding. Please make sure that you know this, irrespective of the size of the holding. Clear, everyone? Whereas the second scheme, which is the PM Kisan Man Dhan Yojana, is a pension scheme for the farmers. And in this pension scheme, the eligibility is only for the farmers who own land up to 2 hectares, which are categorized as small and marginal farmers. Is this clear? Point number 1, when we are understanding the difference in eligibility, is this clear? Point number 1. Point number 2, both the PM Kisan and PM Kisan Man Dhan Yojana are central sector scheme. That is absolutely correct. Both are central sector scheme. What do you mean by a central sector scheme? That 100% of the amount of the scheme is to be provided by the center. The states do not have a contribution in the same. Clear? Second statement is absolutely correct. What about the third statement? Now, third statement is not me checking whether you know the facts or not. Third statement is something that UPSC also does in the form of checking if you know basic trends related to India. Basic trends related to the important sector, which is agriculture. Now, how many of you have often heard the argument that in agriculture we suffer from a big problem of land fragmentation? Have you heard this statement that Indian agriculture suffers from the issue of land fragmentation? That is exactly what the statement is talking about. That according to the agricultural census, less than 2 hectares of land, farmers holding less than 2 hectares of land are more than 80% in India. So 80% of the farmers in India are in the small and marginal category. What is the marginal category? Only up to 1 hectare, and the small category is up to 2 hectares. So 80% of the farmers in India are belonging to these categories. Clear about this? So that is an important fact. UPSC does this as well, that they'd like to check the trends when it comes to important sectors like agriculture. So the third statement is also correct. What about the fourth statement? The fourth statement is saying that agricultural census is conducted every 10 years in India. That is incorrect. Agricultural census is conducted every 5 years in India. Clear about this? This is important. It is conducted every 5 years. So, how many of the given statements is or are incorrect? 3 statements are incorrect, making C as our answer. Making C as our answer. Clear about this? Yes? Clear about this? Alright. So, it's asking, please do not forget the directive which is indirect. Clear about this? Alright. Let's move on. Is there a problem with the poll? Is there a problem with the poll? No. All right. So 3 statements, yes. So how many are incorrect? 3 statements are correct. Only 1 statement is incorrect. So A is our answer. A is our answer. 3 are absolutely correct. All right? Okay. All right. Let's move on and discuss this topic at length. So this particular scheme, PM Kisan aims to provide a payment of 6,000 rupees. Now UPSC can ask, is it given in one installment only? The answer is no. It is not given in 1 installment. It's given in 3 installments. Clear about this? In 3 installments. The second scheme that we are talking about is a pension scheme. This is a pension scheme. So this particular scheme, you have to, another statement that can be formulated is that the beneficiary has to provide, the beneficiary does not have to provide any amount for this pension scheme. Is that correct or not? That statement is incorrect. That statement is incorrect. The beneficiary also has to provide some amount for the pension scheme, which can be anywhere between 55 to 200. Clear about this? That is the difference. Clear? All right. So it is an age, this pension scheme has an eligibility criteria where it is only available to farmers up to 2 hectares of land, that is small and marginal. Clear about the difference? Clear about the difference between the 2 schemes? Yes. Please do not get, sometimes it's important to remove facts and focus on main eligibility criteria. So here in the age group of 16 to 40, anyone can enroll in the age group of 18 to 40, and after 60 years you will start getting the benefits of the same, which is 3,000 rupees. 3,000 rupees every year. Does the government, another question is, does the government provide for the schemes? The government does provide for the pension scheme as well. Equal amount as much as you are providing. Clear? So that is the difference between the 2 schemes. The one has a particular criteria and the second does not have any land related size restriction. Please see a quick difference between these 2. In PM Kisan, all landholding families, can you see this? All landholding families are eligible, no size restriction. Clear? The exclusion is, who are excluding? Now please try to make this these kind of exclusions using common sense. This is simply an exclusion based on institutional landholders. So what are the institutional landholders? Specifically areas which are held in the form of agricultural trusts, areas which are held by a cooperative. Of course, they cannot access the benefits of PM Kisan. The farmer families in which any member is part of a government post or a constitutional post, etc., that are also excluded from the scheme. When you talk about PM Kisan Mandhan, the only difference here is that it is only restricted to 2 hectares. Now there can be a question. Which is the fund manager? The pension fund manager. The pension fund manager is LIC. Can you remember that? The pension fund manager is LIC. The individual has to provide for some sum, even if you do not remember the sum, but at least remember it to remove the statement in an MCQ. Clear? The central government will also give an equal contribution. Both the schemes are central sector schemes. Is this clear, everyone? Yes? Yes. So option 1 is absolutely clear. I don't understand if there is a doubt. The first statement says eligible beneficiaries of PM Kisan can be landholding farmers who own land more than 2 hectares as well. So no landholding restriction. While PM Kisan Mandhan, which is a pension scheme, that has a restriction of only 2 hectares. That has a restriction. It is eligible for farmers with only 2 hectares of land. So that is absolutely correct. The first statement is correct, second is correct, third is correct, only the fourth statement is incorrect. Clear? All right? Yes. First statement is correct. All right. Let's move on to understanding the other questions, the other particular trends which are important in this question itself. Now, can you tell me? Can you see this particular slide? This is very important. UPSC can frame a question. UPSC can frame a question in terms of what are the agricultural categories. Can you see the agricultural categories being the marginal and the small holders till 2 hectares? So this is the category, and this I have taken from a government site, from a government document. Also, the agricultural census, we have understood, happens every 5 years. Every 5 years, versus the agricultural census called the World Program for Census, which is a global agricultural census, is happening every 10 years, conducted by FAO. Clear? All right. So that is the difference, and the marginal and small landholder categories also we have covered. If you see this particular slide, this is the one that I was telling you that you can use this logic to solve this question also. A lot of times you hear about fragmentation of land holdings. It is precisely this. Can you see the data given here? It says almost 80%, more than 80% of farmers in India are farmers belonging to these particular categories, more than 80%. So if there is a statement in UPSC regarding this trend, please mark it as correct. Please mark it as correct. All right. So if you're done with this topic, we will move now to our second question. Extremely important again in the context of agriculture, in the context of the issue of MSP, minimum support price, a very important and favorite area of UPSC. Clear? Yes. So please attempt this question on price deficiency payments, on edible oil trends. This is a very important question. We'll also do a lot of trends on the basis of these questions. Okay? Agricultural census is conducted by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Yes. Done? All right. Let's discuss this. Okay. So these are important schemes. These are important schemes in the area. Let's mark what you all have voted for. C has 47% according to you. Let's discuss this question. So this question is important in the context of MSP. A lot of times the issue is that there is a problem with procurement of MSP. Either the FCI godowns are flooded, there is a lot of food wastage, as well as a lot of burden when it comes to procuring the agricultural crops on the basis of MSP. Okay, so it's important to note that what are these schemes in order to enhance the income of the farmers, in order to ensure they get remunerative returns in their farming practices. So for that, there has been a scheme which is launched called PM Aastha. PM Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan. It's a very important scheme with multiple components. What are the components of the scheme? One component is the one that we have mentioned in the question. price deficiency payment scheme. What does that supposed to mean? That if there is a particular MSP, for instance 4600 per quintal, if there is an MSP 4600 per quintal, for instance for rapeseed or mustard, which is an edible oil, and if the MRP or the sale in the normal markets is 4500 per quintal, the 100 rupees which is a balance, will be provided to the farmer even if he sells at the normal market price in the mandis. He will be given the amount that he deserves in the form of MSP without the state having the burden, of what? Of procurement. That is why it is important that to note that this particular scheme, which is the price deficiency payment scheme, involves no physical procurement. Clear? So price deficiency payment scheme is a component under PM ASHA. Absolutely correct. It involves no physical procurement of crops by the government agencies. Absolutely correct. There is nothing wrong in this scheme. It is just to provide for the amount, the difference in the MSP and the market selling rates. Clear? All right. It also helps in removing the burden on FCI and other procurement agencies and states in order to take the procurement, keep it in particular godowns, etc. So it removes that responsibility. The second statement is, under the price deficiency payment scheme, the crops covered are pulses, oilseeds and copra. Is this correct? Please understand that in this scheme, when you're talking about PM ASHA, please look at this here. It's a very important analysis that we will be doing in order to basically see the three schemes. One is a price support scheme, one is a price payment deficiency, and one is a private procurement scheme. Clear? So the eligibility of crops, different crops are given focus in different components of the scheme. The first is a simple price support scheme where these particular crops, which are the crops? COP, you can remember it by COP, which is copra, oilseeds and pulses. They are procured simply by the central agencies, for instance FCI, etc. It's like a normal MSP procurement. The second is different, where you are paying just the amount that is different from the MSP and the market price. Here there will be no procurement. But this is only, can you note this? This is only for the oil seeds. It is not for copra, it is not for pulses. For pulses, oil seeds and copra, the price support scheme under PM ASHA is operational, but not price deficiency. Clear? Even the private organizations, even the private sector can procure the oil seeds under the private procurement scheme, and here if the private sector does, they will be given the amount which is lacking. They will be compensated by the government. So if you are a private sector procuring, then you will be given the amount by the government. So that is the difference. Clear now what is included? In the first, it is copra, oil seeds and pulses. Second is only oil seeds, remember that, and it has no physical procurement. No physical procurement. These are the only ways. UPSC, now you will understand, does not dive into a lot of facts. They do not. Either if the facts are there, it is to check if you know the trends related to the particular sector, or the facts are very, very important. They are very, very stark and important. Okay. Otherwise, they will not get into a lot of trends related questions when they are making government scheme questions. Clear? So that is also going to be the focus for our area today, that we will focus more on the objectives and learn different techniques which maybe you can use to solve different questions, right? For instance, any logical, the land fragmentation logic that I had spoken about is exactly the same. Okay. Alright, so here the second statement is incorrect because of the coverage of the crops. It is not copra, it is not pulses, it is oilseeds. Clear? Third statement, India is the largest importer of edible oil in the world. Now because there is a problem like the statement 3, this is the situation. Statement 3 is the situation, which is why statement 4 is the solution. Do you understand? Statement 3 is the problem, that we are facing the problem of not being self-sufficient when it comes to edible oil. We are importing a lot of edible oil. The issue is of import, and therefore because of that also losing a lot on our forex reserves. Yes? So in order to solve the problem, we want to encourage the oil seed production or the oil palm production in India itself. Clear? So increase the area in the oil seeds, etc. should be the concern. Now again, there is again a link between statement 3 and statement 4. Look at the link. These are also areas which UPSC does. They give you a hint. Look at the hint now. So statement 3 says India is the largest importer of edible oil in the world. Fair enough, it is. Now in terms of the edible oil that we import, the maximum percentage, almost more than 50% of all our edible oil imports are palm oil. Imports. Do you understand? Which is why the third statement is going to give you a hint on the fourth statement. It is written the National Mission on Edible Oil Palm. Do you understand the focus on oil palm? This will help you in even understanding the third statement, that in a mission, in a new scheme that was launched, particularly oil palm is written. What does that mean? Because the dependence or the maximum import in the edible oil basket is of palm oil. Clear about this? So the fourth mission is basically to solve the third issue problem. This is absolutely correct. Fourth is National Mission on Edible Oils. Oil palm is launched with an aim to increase the domestic production. To increase the domestic production of edible oils, yes, increase the area under edible oils or oil seeds, and with main special focus in two regions, which are the Northeast region as well as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So statement 4 is also absolutely correct. Only second statement was incorrect because of the coverage of the crops. Clear? How many of the given statements is or are correct? The answer is C, that is 3 statements. C is your answer. 3 statements out of 4 statements are correct. Special focus, it will be taken up more in those areas. States in those areas will be incentivized more to basically increase the production. Clear? I have done a full analysis of this as well. Can you see the price deficiency scheme that I have included here? This we have understood. No physical in procurement, and only the deficiency in price will be provided. Clear? Now please look at these important prelims trends. Before I go on to that slide, let me do a little bit of an MCQ with you. Please can you tell me the state which accounts for the maximum palm oil production in India? Can you please tell me the state that accounts for the maximum palm oil production in India? Write it in the comments and we'll see if you're right or not. These small statements, small facts are extremely important. These facts can be made into a full question. So please make sure that you are reading these particularly. Okay? Palm oil imports, Indonesia. Where are we importing maximum palm oil from? Where are we importing maximum palm oil from? From the Southeast Asian countries. We'll see if your answer is correct. The Southeast Asian countries of Indonesia, of Malaysia, of Thailand. Can you remember this group in terms of palm oil imports? Where are we importing soybean oil and sunflower oil from? from a few South American countries like Argentina and Brazil. Clear? So if they ask you where are we importing it from, that can also be framed into an important MCQ. Make sure that you've noted this down. Here I've also attached the information when I'm talking about more than 50% of India's edible oil is palm oil, and even India is the largest importer of palm oil. Clear? So these are important trends, can be made into a question because you need to know why a scheme came into being. The scheme came into being in order to solve a particular question, right? In order to solve a particular problem that we were facing. Clear? When we talk about trends that have the import of oil or palm oil particularly, has it only increased or has successively increased over the years? That is incorrect. They also like to ask these trend kind of questions. Please know, some years it has dipped, some years it has not. So it is more of a zigzag trend. These questions are generally easy to solve in UPSC. A continuous increase in terms of import has not happened when it comes to edible oil. Clear? So what did we make here? The three statements that we understood. India is the biggest importer of edible oil. Palm oil constitutes about 50% of the basket, the import basket. And where are we importing it from? We are importing mainly from the countries of Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand. Clear? Now let's understand where are we producing in terms of domestic production. Domestic production import trends will be oil seeds. The state with the maximum production of oil seeds is Rajasthan, but the state with the maximum production of oil palm or palm oil is Andhra Pradesh. Is this clear? The two important facts that you need to know: oil seeds is Rajasthan and oil palm is Andhra Pradesh, which is why this particular mission, the National Mission on Edible Oils, oil palm, in order to reduce, we need to reduce the dependence, we want to save our forest reserves, we want to be Atmanirbhar, self-reliant in this domain, increase the domestic production by 3 times. Now 3 times of what and how much is it going to be? Not relevant for UPSC. But if there is a simple statement that says 3 times by 2025-2026, extremely relevant for UPSC. Clear? Increase the area under palm oil production with special focus on areas which have a lot of potential to develop in terms of productivity, and those areas are Northeast and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Is this absolutely clear, everyone? If this particular question is clear, did you see the amount of trends and a lot of data that we took from here? The data is not simple facts. These data are trends that can be asked by UPSC. They will ask in areas which are important like agriculture. Clear? All right, let's move on to our next question now. Next question. Consider the following statements extremely important in the area of health, in the area of immunization, and also because it's been 50 years, almost 50 years to the immunization program of the WHO. So there have been recent articles. Please make sure that you attempt this question, then we will discuss it. Please do not get disheartened if there is an incorrect question. The idea for you, the idea of these particular initiatives is that you can learn. We also make a statement in such a way so that you do not get trapped in the questions when they finally appear for the prelims exam. So the idea is to twist questions. The idea is to particularly tell you what the difference is that you need to remember. Clear? Yes. Poll is live. Just a few more seconds. All right, you all have given your answers. The maximum percentage has been given to B, which is 49%. Let's discuss the question and then we'll see if you have answered correctly or not. The first statement is about the immunization program, more about the catching up of the immunization program. Okay, basically in terms of the national immunization program, which basically provides vaccine for 12 treatable or preventable diseases, is ongoing in India. Mission Indradhanush or intensified Mission Indradhanush has been launched in multiple variants. Right now we are talking about the 5.0. Now is 1.0, 1 or 2.0 really important? Maybe not. 5.0 was important because there were a lot of firsts attached to it. Okay, there were a lot of firsts attached to it. That is why it becomes important to know that what was different between the Indradhanush program 5.0 and the previous Indradhanush programs. So the idea of the previous Indradhanush programs were that most of them were launched in districts which did not have a high percentage of vaccination indicators. Okay, so it was more of a catch-up program. It was focused on those districts which were ranking low, and it was trying to include all those children under the age group of 2 in order for them to get the vaccinations. So what was the previous Indradhanush? It was not all across India. It was only in a few districts. The second important objective was that it was trying to target only children up till the years of 2. Only up till the years of 2, as well as women, as well as pregnant women. Clear? Now what changed in Indradhanush 5.0? Indradhanush 5.0 was launched for the first time in order to cover the whole of the country. So it was not particularly limited to a district. It covered the whole country. Point number 1. Is this clear? The second point is that it did not cover children only up till the age of 2. But now that we are reaching universal immunization till up to 2 age, we are also increasing our targets. Now slowly we want to also be concerned of children of a higher age group. Okay, so this is a campaign to ensure routine immunization services reach children up to 2 years of age is incorrect. This was up to 5 years of age. Clear about this? That was the difference between this. The firsts are important, which is why we have taken up the immunization program. Clear about this? So first statement is absolutely incorrect. Let's see why. This is the particular program that I was talking about. Mission Indradhanush aims to cover all those children either unvaccinated or partially vaccinated against the 12 life-threatening diseases which are preventable with a vaccination. What are these diseases? You should also make a note of that. Tuberculosis, diphtheria, tetanus, hepatitis B, polio, pneumonia, meningitis, measles, rubella. They have also become important. Clear? So they've also become important, and you are also needing to know that there are a few vaccines. Such as rubella, such as Japanese encephalitis, as well as rotavirus that have not been administered in the whole country, but they are right now being administered in a few districts. What are these few districts? These are few districts with a lot of cases of these particular problems. For instance, a lot of cases of Japanese encephalitis are reported from the state of Bihar, and specifically what we call the northern belt or the Bimaru states, and therefore in those areas this particular vaccine is introduced. Please, can you also tell me in the comments which was a new vaccination? A new vaccination that was introduced in the budget 2024. A new vaccination was introduced by the government in the budget 2024. What is that? Let me know in the comment section. Yes. All right. So it's important that 5.0 is not for 2 years, but it was to cover children in the age group up till 5 years. And this was the first time that the campaign is being conducted across all districts, not just in one particular state or a few districts. Is this understood, everyone? Yes? Yes. That is the cervical vaccine, which has been launched in the budget 2024. And this will be administered to the women or the girls in the age group of 9 to 14 years. This is also an important prelims fact. It can be important for the coming examination. Let's understand the second statement. The second statement says, Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan entitles all pregnant women delivering in public health institutions to have an absolutely free delivery, including C-section. So institutional deliveries, the right to free institutional deliveries in the public government hospitals is not related to Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. It is related to the Janani Suraksha Yojana. It is basically the objective that is given in the statement 2 is the objective of the Janani Suraksha Yojana. Clear about this? Why have we not done this? It was asked recently in the prelims. The idea or basically the chance of it being asked again are very low. So I have not taken up that particular scheme. It was asked quite recently. I have taken a scheme which is almost closer, similar to that, and that is Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. This particular scheme entitles, okay, this particular scheme entitles women who are pregnant to the antenatal checkup on the 9th of every month. They are allowed a free antenatal checkup on the 9th of every month. That is important. Is it universal? Any woman can do that irrespective of the particular income bracket, etc. Yes. So it is universal. Clear about two facts, that it is universal. All pregnant women can get their antenatal checkups on the 9th of every month. That is a scheme related to, and this is what is Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. The right to institutional delivery or free deliveries in the public institutions or public hospitals is Janani Suraksha Yojana. It is not Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. Clear about this? It is the only main agenda or feature of the scheme. That is why we are focusing on that. The third is scheme for critical care and support to POCSO victims. Scheme for critical care and support to POCSO victims. It is important because it has been recently launched, okay? And the statement says, the victims provides assistance to all girls who are under the age group of 18 and are victims under the aggravated sexual assault category. This is incorrect because it is not enough. Please understand, when we do this scheme, you will understand. It is not enough to just be a victim of the POCSO, of the offense of POCSO, but it is important. It is provided to those minor females who are a victim of POCSO as well have conceived. They have become pregnant as a result of that offense. So the two have to be provided for. One, you are a minor, you are a victim of the POCSO Act, and the second is because of what has happened to you or the particular offense, you have also conceived. So basically, pregnant minor POCSO victims are eligible for this scheme, not just POCSO victim. Is this clear? That is why statement 3 is also incorrect. It is not providing for the criteria for beneficiaries. The added criteria is that you are a minor pregnant female under the POCSO Act. Clear? That is why statement 3 is also incorrect. How many of the given statements is or are correct? None of the given statements are correct. Clear about this? None of the given statements are correct. Yes. So that is important to note that these are few. Like the third statement was about eligibility. It was just basically talking to you about eligibility. So it's important to note that what is the eligibility. Okay. All right. Let's discuss this scheme as well. Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan was launched. Now please make sure that there is a difference. It is not launched by Ministry of Women and Child Welfare, but it was basically launched by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Clear about this scheme? So it is for women. It is for women, but it is a Ministry of Health and Family Welfare scheme. Clear? All right. So what does this particular scheme entitle you for? This particular scheme entitles you for antenatal care. That is, during the course of your pregnancy, you can come for a lot of health checkups. For example, screening of the pregnancy, checking complicated issues with the fetus very early on, providing some supplements in case there is a deficiency, etc. So basically the antenatal care or checkup is very, very important. So that will be provided free of cost every 9th of any month, and this is universal. Please make sure that it is universal. Everyone can avail of the same. Clear? Statement 3 I'm coming to. Don't worry, I will cover that. So it is important to cover which area. Janani Suraksha Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Surakshat Matritva Abhiyan are for what? They are basically to tackle the issue of MMR. Maternal mortality rate, which is how many women have died because of complicated pregnancy or during childbirth per 1 lakh live births. Clear? So that is the particular maternal mortality rate indicator. It has fallen below 100 for India. So if there is a statement that says it has fallen below 100 for India, that is correct. It has reached 97. Clear? So that is the objective of the Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. It is not so important to do Janani Suraksha Yojana. As I have said, it was very recently asked, very unlikely that they will ask immediately again. Clear? All right. Let's move on to the third statement and the scheme related to that. Scheme for critical care and support to POCSO victims. Now, for this we had done that which POCSO victim will be eligible. Which POCSO victim? It's not enough that you are a POCSO victim. First, of course, you are 18 years below. Then only the POCSO Act will apply. So you are a minor. You are a POCSO victim. And as a result of any offense under the POCSO Act, you are basically, the victim has become pregnant. Only then they can avail the particular scheme. Clear? So financial assistance will be provided to these victims. Also shelter will be given. Legal assistance will be provided. Medical assistance will be provided. All those will be given to the POCSO victims for this particular scheme. Clear about this? So not all POCSO victim is something that you will take back. All right. So monetary support, shelter, childcare institutions, they can be sent to the childcare institution where they can be given a particular different shelter, and food, legal assistance we've already spoken about. Clear? Eligibility criteria I've already told you, 18 and below, POCSO, and pregnancy as a result of the same. That is important, not just POCSO Act. If this is understood, can we move on to our next question? This is our next question, again related to health. Very, very important scheme related to health. Attempt this question and then we'll discuss the same. You will get the annotated PPTs, don't worry. We've already included a lot of handwritten notes, so the PDFs should be sufficient. Last few seconds, everyone. Do not get disheartened if you have a wrong answer. The idea is to take back as much as possible from here, not just attempt it here. All right. So how many of you answered correctly or incorrectly? Let's figure that out. Consider the following. Okay, so B is the answer for most of you. Let's check this. Consider the following statements. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So this is a very, very important scheme because it's called also the Ayushman Bharat scheme. The Ayushman Bharat scheme, it is the world's largest, the world's biggest, world's largest publicly funded health insurance schemes. It's very, very important. Okay, and it has recently completed 5 years of operation. That is why it becomes very, very important in the context of prelims as well. Let's discuss this. So under the Ayushman Bharat scheme, there is a Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. The first important point that we need to know is it a centrally sponsored scheme or is it a central sector scheme? It is a centrally sponsored scheme. Why? Because health is in the state subject as well. Please understand that the health as a subject is in the state list. So it is a centrally sponsored scheme. So any premium that will be given to an insurance company or a trust in order to provide these Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana benefits will be provided. The premium does not have to be given by the beneficiaries. The premium will be provided by the government. Okay, and you can avail cashless treatment as a result of this. Clear? So because of this, the government will provide for the premium. Point number one, government will provide for the premium. Now which governments? So the premium will be provided both by the central government as well as the state governments. Point number one, is it understood? So Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is a centrally sponsored scheme wherein the expenditure incurred in the premium payment will be shared both by the central and the state governments. So first is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. It will be shared by the two governments. The second statement, PM Jan Arogya Yojana aims to provide a health cover of 5 lakh rupees per family per year with no restrictions on the size of the family. Is this correct? This is absolutely correct. When they say that 5 lakh rupees will be provided per year, per family, there is no restriction that the family size can only be 4, can only be 5, can only be 6. There is no restriction of sort when it comes to this particular scheme. Point number one. Is this understood? So no restrictions on the family size. Absolutely correct. The third statement, benefits of the schemes are portable across the country. So it does not have to be, you can avail the benefits of the scheme anywhere in the country, but can you avail it in the private hospitals as well? You can avail it in the private hospitals, but they have to be impaneled. They have to be impaneled private hospitals. Clear? Are all private hospitals, is it mandatory for all private hospitals to be empaneled? Absolutely no. It cannot be a directive. It cannot be a directive in a capitalist economy as well. It will almost be like authoritarian kind of a directive. So all private hospitals, it is not mandatory for all private hospitals. Clear about this? This is also very, very important. So, but can it be availed in a private hospital? Yes, an impaneled private hospital. So, benefits of the schemes are portable across the country. Correct. It is mandatory for all private hospitals to be impaneled. That is incorrect. That can also logically be eliminated. Statement number 4. Hospitalization is necessary for availing benefits under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. That is absolutely correct. Ayushman Bharat scheme, the 5 lakh cashless allowance that you get is for secondary and tertiary hospitalization. Clear about this? It is very, very important. It is not for OPD services. OPD is outpatient department, that you've just come in for a consultation, you've just come in for a diagnostic, a checkup, etc. It does not cover OPD charges only. Your charges of consultation, diagnostics, medicines, pre-hospitalization, post-hospitalizations will be covered as long as you are hospitalized. Clear? So if you are hospitalized, then your pre-hospitalization costs, if your pre-hospitalization costs include diagnostics, if they include a consultation, and your post-hospitalization cost for a few days, that is about 15 days, cover medicines, even those will be covered, but not if you are not hospitalized. That is an important criteria. Is that understood? It is not available for primary healthcare, secondary and tertiary, which are basically specialized hospitals where you will generally go for maybe a problem such as a heart surgery or a problem relating to a disease like cancer, etc. So 4th is absolutely correct, even though it looks very, very difficult, or it looks like it's not going to be correct, but only OPD is not covered. Hospitalization becomes important. Did you understand the eligibility of the scheme? Please, can you tell me how does one trace the eligibility of the scheme? The eligibility of the scheme will be provided on the basis of the socio-economic caste census. On the basis of the socio-economic caste census, the below 40% of the population will be given the benefits of this scheme. Clear? There are a lot of criterias, a lot of deprivation related criterias which are taken into account. That is not important for us. Only if you know that eligibility is according to socio-economic caste census, it will be enough. Clear? So that is why the 3rd statement is correct. The other 3 statements are correct, but the 3rd is incorrect. How many of the given statements is or are correct? How many of the given statements? 3 statements are correct. So C is your answer. C is your answer. Most of you had opted for B. I understand because of the confusion relating to the statement 4. That is also very, very important. All right? Okay. Let's understand this particularly. 3 I will clear, don't worry. So Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, that is also called the Ayushman Bharat. It's a centrally sponsored scheme, as we have established. The contribution will be both from states and center. Okay, the eligibility is based on the socio-economic caste census. What is the benefit that you get? You get 5 lakh rupees per year per family. No restriction on the size of the family. Clear? Point number 1. Then who is the implementing authority? Who is the implementing authority of this particular scheme? The implementing authority is what you call the National Health Authority, will be responsible for implementing the Ayushman Bharat Yojana as well as the National Digital Health Mission, which is important in the context of, why is the National Digital Health Mission important? Because a lot of health IDs will be made in order to make the treatment seamless across hospitals as well as for insurance claims. So that is why NHA is something that you need to remember, the implementing body. A few other features I've also put here. Can you see the eligibility, which all treatments are eligible under this scheme? Medical examination, treatment and consultation, pre-hospitalization, medicine and medical consumables, diagnostic and laboratory investigation, so any diagnostic, etc. Medical implant, you're fitting in any implant, for instance, a stent in the heart or etc. Accommodation, so when you're staying in a particular hospital, the food services there, as well as post-hospitalization follow-up and care for about 15 days. So that is also important and included as long as there is hospitalization. Is that clear, everyone? Yes? All right. So OPD, only OPD expenses are not included. They are not included. And for secondary and tertiary hospitalization is the objective. Even only primary healthcare is not included. It is portable across the country. We have already seen that. Government hospitals will provide for it, as well as impaneled private hospitals will also provide for the same. Is it mandatory? Absolutely no. Clear? Yes? All right. Look at this statement. There was an issue with the third statement. Third statement is absolutely incorrect because it is not mandatory. Now is your doubt correct? I hope. So it is not mandatory for all private hospitals to be impaneled. If they wish to, they can be on board. Now let's come to our next question. Next question, everyone. Consider the following statements. This question is framed on a PYQ. There have been a lot of PYQs around PVTGs. So it's important to consider this question as well. Please attempt this and then we will discuss it. Yes, so if you are hospitalized, Palak, then all charges will be taken care of. As long as you are hospitalized, then pre-hospitalization consultation charges can also be taken care of in the scheme. But only OPD charges will not be taken care of. Last few seconds, everyone. Done. All right. Let's discuss this particular question. All right. Consider the following statements. The beneficiaries of Janman, PM Janman is the scheme that we are talking about. Let's discuss this. Beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Maha Abhiyan, PM Janman, okay, are only the 75 notified PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. What are PVTGs? PVTGs are basically the most vulnerable, the most backward in terms of development indicators amongst the tribals. So they have been recognized separately, they have been given focus separately, and therefore this particular scheme is basically only for the PVTGs. Absolutely correct. The first statement is correct. The PM Janman scheme is only for the PVTGs, the 75 PVTGs. This has been asked in previous year questions. Please make sure that using this question, you also remember the number. I gave the number so that you have added information to remember that. Another information regarding the PVTGs is that I will ask you, can you tell me the first commission that recommended that these particular sections should be given a different focus? They should be focused differently and they need extra support. Can you tell me the commission recognizing primitive tribal groups? Excellent. The Debar Commission. The Debar Commission in 1973 had first recognized the primitive tribal groups, which later on the government has basically named particularly vulnerable tribal group. There are a lot of criterias on which you basically notify a PVTG. Some of the criterias are low or stagnant population, pre-agricultural level of technology, low literacy, economic backwardness, etc. Clear? So they are very, very important in that context, PVTGs. The second statement says there are no PVTGs. No PVTGs have been notified in the state of Haryana and Punjab. A classic logic-driven answer. What are these states? These states are predominantly agricultural areas. Agricultural states. They are lacking. Hardly any forests can be found in these particular states. Yes, so these particular states are lacking any notified PVTGs. They are not in this particular state. Clear about this? Can you tell me other states also which do not have PVTGs? Are all northeast states, do all northeast states have PVTGs? Do all northeast states have PVTGs? Only two northeast states have PVTGs. One is Manipur, the other is Tripura. Only two states. Clear? It's very, very important in the context of it. Very, very important. Only two states. Alright, so no PVTGs have been notified in the states of Punjab and Haryana. Absolutely right. There is no problem with that statement. Statement 3. The Forest Rights Act 2006 and the PISA Act, which is Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Area Act, empower the forest dwellers with ownership and governance of minor forest product. Absolutely right. Have you heard that PISA gives the advantage? A lot of focus on the Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha can decide in matters of selling and collecting of minor forest produce. So it is very important, and a lot of forest dwellers. The forest dwellers get the right of collecting minor forest produce according to the Forest Rights Act of 2006. Very important. What are minor forest produce? Minor forest produce are anything which is of plant origin other than timber. For instance, bamboo, tendu leaves, wax, honey, etc. So all of them can be collected by the forest dwellers according to the Forest Rights Act and given governance power by the PISA Act. Clear? So third is absolutely correct. It's important. This was Forest Rights Act was also asked in one of the PYQs. Becomes very important for us. The fourth statement is Ministry of Tribal Affairs declares the MSP. Declares the MSP for the minor forest produce. This is absolutely correct. The minor forest produce is also been given an MSP on which it can be sold, a minimum support price on which it can be sold, and that particular MSP is declared by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. It's important. Trifed that you're talking about is important in the context of promotion of minor forest produce in the form of Vandhan Kendras. So there you have a lot of value addition when it comes to minor forest produce, but the Ministry of Tribal Affairs declares the MSP for MFP. Absolutely correct. Clear about this? Yes. So how many of the given statements is or are correct? All of the given statements are correct. D is your answer. D is your answer. Is this understood, everyone? Yes? All right. Look at this now. And this is important because it's a very recent scheme. In the budget 2023-2024, it was announced, the PM Janman Yojana. And basically, this is not a scheme which only involves, which has a particular objective. But whatever schemes are currently, whichever schemes are currently available in the governance domain, they will be applied. They will be applied in these areas with a lot of focus. So even though the Ministry of Tribal Affairs is the nodal ministry, but there are other ministries which are participating. In fact, 9 ministries that are participating in the areas of what? What are they wanting to do in the areas of PVTGs? Provide them with secure houses. So for example, your Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana will be extended in those areas, will be implemented very well or with a lot of focus in those areas. Clean drinking, sanitation, education. So your education related parameters will be checked on. Health related centers will be opened in areas of PVTGs. A lot of PVTGs suffer from a lot of diseases which are very different from the mainstream population. Most of them suffer from something called the sickle cell anemia as well. So nutrition, health, education, infrastructure in those areas will also be an important aspect. Roads will be connecting their habitations to other areas in order to increase the economic potential as well as the socio-economic parameters of the PVTGs. Of course, other missions such as increasing their livelihood will also be taken up. So it's a very general sort of a scheme, PM Janman, but it is important for the context of PVTG. Clear? What it also includes, another important area that it includes are the Vandhan Kendra scheme. What is the Vandhan Kendra scheme? It is basically a scheme of Ministry of Tribal Affairs. What they are particularly doing is that they are forming a cluster. They are forming a cluster or a unit of tribal SHGs. So a lot of tribal SHGs are put in one area, and TriFed is helping them. TriFed is helping them in order to add value to the minor forest produce, so that it can increase the economic indicators of the people, the PVTGs selling this or the tribals particularly selling this. So this is also included in this particular scheme. What is the inclusion? The Vandhan Kendras, where they will be trained, the tribals will be trained, they will be provided capital, marketing support, etc. by TriFed in order to add value to the MFPs and in a way increase their sale by value addition. So that is the objective of PM Janman. Now let's see the MFP. The MSP is decided by Ministry of Tribal Affairs. We've already done that. What are MFP? We've already done. It is non-timber forest produce of plant origin. It could be bamboo, it could be cocoon, it could be honey, wax, tendu leaves, etc. This can also be framed into a question. There are a lot of facts that I'm basically providing after a given scheme which can be made into a question. So please make sure that you know of each one of them. We already know, and this was also a previous year question, that Odisha, the state with the highest number of notified PVTGs, is Odisha. It's important. The second highest is Andhra Pradesh. It's also important. Now it's better to not do 18 states which have PVTGs, rather to do states which do not have. So the PVTGs which have not been notified, which are the states? The states which do not have any PVTGs notified are Haryana and Punjab. predominantly being your agricultural areas, which is also important to note that there will be a presumption that there are a lot of PVTGs in the northeastern areas. All state in the northeastern areas you will presume have PVTGs. But please understand, their tribals are in a way a block. There is no particular group which is the least vulnerable or the most vulnerable. So there is less homogenization amongst the tribals when it comes to northeastern areas, but in other areas we have tribals which are particularly vulnerable, which is why in the northeastern states you will see there are only two states, one being Tripura and the other being Manipur, which have notified PVTGs. Important PVTG from Tripura is the Riangs, are also called the Brus. These particularly have been fleeing a lot of violence in Mizoram and settling in the areas of Tripura. Clear about this? There's only one union territory which has a notified PVTG, which is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. These are very important facts. It will help you in eliminating any statement in your MCQs. Make sure that you read them. All right? Okay. Now let's move on to our next question, everyone. Consider the following statements. These are important in the context of a lot of schemes for vulnerable sections or for sections which are marginalized. Please attempt it and then we will discuss it. Bamboo is a minor forest produce. It can be collected as a minor forest produce. That is right. Last few seconds, everyone. Yes, Ambika, you can also take that as a note. All right, let's discuss this. Most of you have voted for option B. Let's discuss this question now. Consider the following statements. The statements are about a scheme called Namaste. And the statement says Namaste scheme aims to provide affordable loans to street vendors. If Namaste scheme is providing affordable loans to street vendors, what is Swanidhi? What is Swanidhi scheme doing? We've changed the objectives of the scheme. So one is wrong because this is the objective of providing affordable loans to street vendors and small shopkeepers is the objective of the PM Swanidhi scheme and not the Namaste scheme. Then what is the Namaste scheme formulated for? Let's check that. It is called, the full form is the National Action for Mechanized Sanitation Ecosystem. Basically to prevent manual scavenging from occurring anywhere in the country. The idea is to make sanitation mechanized using new equipment, giving a lot of subsidies or basically capital grant to the urban local bodies so that they can change the sanitation infrastructure. They can use a lot of protective gear which is given to the sanitation workers. They can use a lot of automated sanitation equipments and therefore prevent the sanitation workers from manually entering the sewage tanks. So sanitation workers recognized. What are the components of it? The sanitation workers first will be registered because in order to provide them with any benefit, it is important to recognize them. So they will be recognized by the urban local bodies. Protective gear. The protective gear will be given in the form of protected gear kits. The health insurance will be provided in the form of PM Jan Arogya Yojana. We've already done that. Yes. So one criteria for being an eligible beneficiary is that you are a sanitation worker. The fourth is capital subsidy will also be provided to the private sanitization agencies or the urban local bodies in order to purchase the sanitation equipment. These are simple terms or features of the scheme. This should suffice. Even if you know the objective and who launched it, it will be enough. So it is jointly launched. It is jointly launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Why? Because this is around, it's benefiting the sanitation workers, which are in a way a vulnerable section who are dealt by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, along with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Why? Because a lot of urban local bodies will have to be taken on board in order to change the scenario when it comes to manual scavenging. Clear about this? So Namaste scheme is particularly for the sanitation workers. Let's see the second statement. That is why the first statement is incorrect, because the objective is incorrect. Street vendors are for Swanidhi. Second statement, PM Ajay scheme envisages the development of villages dominated by scheduled tribes population as Adarsh Gram. Basically, it is wanting to do or increase infrastructural development, increase the socio-economic indicators in which villages PMAJY is not for villages dominated by scheduled tribes, but villages dominated by scheduled caste. Please make a distinction between them. Let's understand what the scheme is, and then we'll come back to our question. Pradhan Mantri Ajay scheme is basically Pradhan Mantri Anusuchit Jati Abhyuday Yojana. So in this, it is a scheme of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, like the Namaste scheme that we had done. What are the components of it? Basically the components of the aim of this particular scheme is to address the issue of poverty in the scheduled caste population or in the scheduled caste areas. Low development, human development indicators in the scheduled caste areas are the focus of these schemes. So the aim is to reduce poverty of scheduled caste communities. How? By in a way training them, providing them with employment opportunities through skill development to improve socio-economic development indicators by ensuring adequate infrastructure in these villages, etc. So what are the components? First is infrastructural development of what is called the Adarsh Gram. What will be? How will you choose an Adarsh Gram? Adarsh Gram will be chosen if it is dominated. If it is dominated by the scheduled caste population, it will be taken up under the scheme for infrastructural development in the form of roads and communication infrastructure, etc. The second is you will increase educational opportunities in these schemes in these areas by construction of hostels. Construction of hostels in, for instance, higher education institutions. The fourth is skill development. More income generating schemes will be provided for the scheduled caste population of the BPL category. Only this particular feature, out of all the features, only this particular feature, which is of skill development and income generation, will be provided only to the BPL sections of scheduled castes. Otherwise, the other features are in general for the development of areas which are dominated by scheduled castes. Are you understanding the difference between the two? Yes. So that is the difference between the two. That is PM Ajay. Alright. The third statement, let's discuss that. So second is incorrect because the target group is incorrect. The third statement is SCs, OBCs, scheduled caste, other backward classes, and EBCs, economically backward classes, without any income criteria. So without any income criteria are eligible beneficiaries for the PM Daksh Yojana, which aims to enhance the competency levels of groups to increase their employability. Basically to provide them with skill in order to make them more employable. Is this correct or not? Is this correct or not? So what is the first, let's understand the objective of PM Daksh Yojana. The objective of PM Daksh Yojana is to provide skilling as well as increasing the employability of a few vulnerable sections, of a few marginalized sections. What are these sections? Now these sections can be SCs, OBCs, economically backward classes, denotified tribes, Safai Karamcharis, including waste pickers. All of them can be beneficiaries under the PM Daksh Yojana, which is Pradhan Mantri Dakshata or Kushalta Sampann Hitgrahi. So all of them are beneficiaries under it. But there is an income criteria. So with others, for instance, with SCs, for Safai Karamcharis and for waste pickers, and denotified tribes. For these sections, there is no income criteria. Just by the fact that you belong to this group, you can be a beneficiary. The income criteria will come in if you are an OBC or you are an economically backward class. Clear about this? These will have an income criteria to check if you are a beneficiary or not. This is easy to guess also, because even for OBC, in other areas also there is a creamy layer related criteria, which is an income based criteria. So why will they be given completely? The eligibility will not be completely for these sections, but it will be based on some income criteria. While the other sections of scheduled caste, Safai Karamcharis, waste pickers and denotified tribes will not involve any income criteria. They will become a beneficiary automatically. Clear? So the idea is to increase their employability by making them more skilled so that they can take up particularly important employment related activities. That is the objective. Even if you remember the objective and if you remember the eligibility, you are good. Alright, so that is why our statement 3 was incorrect, which says that without any income criteria. This kind of a blanket statement or a sweeping statement is incorrect. So out of the 3 given statements, none of the given statements are correct. Therefore, D is our answer. D is our answer. Clear? Alright. Okay, let's move on to our next statements now. Next question. Consider the following statements. Please attempt this question. It's really important in the context of schemes like Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Pariyojana, Sankalp and Strive, Prior Learning, Kaushal Vikas Yojana, etc. Attempt this and then we will discuss it. Few more seconds. Let's discuss. Maximum of you have voted for B. Let's analyze this question now. Consider the following statements. Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Pariyojana. Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Pariyojana is a scheme launched by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship to provide entrepreneurship training to the street vendors and small shopkeepers. This is what it's particularly saying. What was the scheme that we referred to right now when it comes to the loans given to the street vendors and shopkeepers? It is basically, this particular scheme is to provide skilling to the beneficiaries of Swanidhi Yojana. The beneficiaries of Swanidhi Yojana are provided training, So in Swanidhi, they are given loans, collateral-free loans to the street vendors and small shopkeepers. But under the Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Pariyojana, they are provided training and skilling in order to make them better in terms of enterprises, the setting up of new enterprises, etc. Clear about this? So that is important. It is basically for Swanidhi beneficiaries. Absolutely correct. Skilling related initiative. The second statement is, you don't have to get into too many details when it comes to this, but it just says Sankalp and Strive. Sankalp and Strives, the first thing that you need to know are related to skill development. So they are particularly schemes related to training and development of the youth, industrial related trainings, etc. These are implemented with the support. Which international organization has supported India in order to implement Sankalp and Strive schemes? It is not UNDP, it is the World Bank. It is not UNDP, it is the World Bank. You can just remember the two things, that Sankalp and Strive are basically schemes relating to skill development and training, and they are supported by the World Bank. Clear? Statement 3. Prior learning is recognized and certified under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Now, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana is basically to provide skill development and training in India to make the youth of this country more employable with industry relevant skills. So what in terms of this particular scheme, there is a component that it's not necessary that you have to learn something new. If you already have prior skills, they can be given more recognition, they can be certified, they can be given more recognition. So prior skills can also be recognized under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. This has also been a previous year question, this statement particularly. Please remember that. So third is absolutely correct. Okay, third is absolutely correct. Prior learning is recognized and certified under PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. The fourth statement says full cost for training. The full cost for training. So whatever cost that it entails, the PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, in terms of the amount that has to be given to the training institutes, to other partners which take up training, are solely taken care of by the center. They are solely taken care of by the center. Clear? Not the state. So full cost of training under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana is borne by the central government. Absolutely correct. Clear? So how many of the given statements is or are correct? 1, 3 and 4 are correct, making B as our answer. Congratulations, most of you got this one right. Most of you got this one right. Absolutely clear. Let's discuss this. So Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Pariyojana we've discussed is a scheme of the Ministry of Social Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, that is basically to provide skill, which is a skill training of 22 weeks, which can be online, which can be offline, etc. To which beneficiaries? To the Swanidhi beneficiaries. And what are those? The street vendors, the small shopkeepers, etc. Okay, so training and certification will be provided. Who is implementing it? This particular scheme, the Rashtriya Udyamita Yojana, is being implemented by National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development, NIESUD. So please make this clear. It is not National Skill Development Corporation. That is different. That is implementing the PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. But National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development is basically implementing the Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Yojana. Is this clear? Everything that is important I have provided in this slide. This will also make you wonder what is the PM Swanidhi. So we've attached that link here. PM Swanidhi scheme is an initiative of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in order to provide, what is the objective? It is to provide the collateral free loans when these street vendors or small shopkeepers are basically taking up loans. They are asking for loans or applying for loans. They will not have to be given. They will not have to give collateral for the same. It will be easier for them to take loans in order to start a new enterprise or initiative. So that is the main objective. Interest subvention. Now if there is an MCQ, if there is a statement which says that interest subvention is also included, that a part of the interest on loans can be done away with, or the part of the interest can be done away with, is absolutely fine only when the particular beneficiary is paying the loan back on time, is on track when it comes to paying. Then a part of the interest can be subvented, or it is called interest subvention. Clear about this? So that is also a particular provision of the same. Collateral free loans, interest subvention, for which beneficiaries? The PM Swanidhi, street vendors and small shopkeepers. The skilling of the Swanidhi beneficiaries is under the Rashtriya Udyamita Vikas Pariyojana. Now do you understand the connect between the two schemes? Yes? Alright, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana is the flagship skilling and training scheme of the Government of India. It is of course by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. It will be implemented like how we did the National Health Authority. The National Health Authority for Jan Arogya Yojana. Here it will be implemented by the National Skill Development Corporation. The National Skill Development Corporation. Very important in terms of implementation. The aim is to provide industry relevant training to the youth of this country. Short-term training can also be provided by training partners, by training institutes, and there is also another component, which is the component of recognition of prior learning, where if you have a prior skill, you can come here, you can get it certified, and you can also be given bridging courses. If there is a new course that you need in order to enhance your prior learning, that can also be provided for. So recognition of prior learning will be recognized. Full of cost training will be borne by the center. We have already established that. Will there be certain guidelines which have to be followed? Will there be a common framework in terms of which kind of skills to be imparted? Of course, yes. That will be according to the National Skill Qualification Framework, NSQF. So it will be implemented by the National Skill Development Corporation, and the framework according to which guidelines, according to the National Skill Qualification Frameworks, what kind of skills to be provided, how to certify certain skills, etc. That is the agenda of it. Clear? The two schemes that we did, Sankalp and Strive, are relating to skill development, but they are supported by World Bank and not UNDP. Is that clear? Yes? So if this is clear, we can now move on to our next question. Please be ready to attempt your next question. Consider the following statements. Attempt this question, please. Just a few more seconds. Done. Let's discuss this. Consider the following statements. PM Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi, PM Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Yojana, that is also called PMBJY. Okay, let's understand the first statement of it. What is the objective and which is the ministry that has launched this particular initiative or yojana? So Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi. Now please do not get confused with Jan Aushadhi meaning Ayurvedic medicines. That is not true. Here Jan Aushadhi means generic medicines. What are generic medicines? Generic medicines are those medicines that are not branded. So they can have the same composition, they can have the same salts, but they can be cheaper because they are not sold under a particular brand name. Clear? So that are the Jan Aushadhi that this scheme is aiming to increase. The production of it is aiming to increase, not the Ayurvedic medicines that is in the statement. Okay, so Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana aims to popularize the use of Ayurvedic medicines. Absolutely incorrect. The ministry, and therefore the ministry also becomes incorrect. This has been launched by Ministry of Ayush. No, this has been launched by the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Please remember this. It's an important fact that it has been launched by the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, not Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, because pharmaceuticals. What are these generic medicines? These are in a way pharmaceuticals, and pharmaceuticals will come in the domain of what? They will come in the domain of chemicals. Yes, so PM Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Yojana aims to universalize healthcare, aims to make healthcare more affordable by reducing the price of the medicines, increasing the production of generic medicines in order to help citizens and reduce their out-of-pocket expenditure, less expenditure on expensive medicines. So that is why increase the production of generic medicines. So that is statement 1. It is incorrect because of the objective, incorrect also because of the ministry. Statement number 2. The medicines that are to be sold, at the Jan Aushadhi Kendras. So under this scheme, a lot of Jan Aushadhi Kendras will be set up, which will sell the generic medicines at that cheaper price. And where will you source this from? The Jan Aushadhi Kendras will source the medicines, the generic medicines, both from the public sector units or public sector enterprises, as well as from the private sector. Both. Clear? So the medicines or the generic medicines for the Jan Dhan or the Jan Aushadhi Kendras will be supplied or will be procured both from the public sector units, public sector enterprises, as well as the private sector. Clear? This is an important observation. Second is absolutely correct. Which of the given statements is or are correct? B only is the answer. C is incorrect because the first statement, the objective is also incorrect and the ministry is also incorrect. Clear? Let's look at this. With an objective of making quality generic medicines affordable, medicines, affordable healthcare, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers has launched this particular scheme in order to increase the Jan Aushadhi Kendras and the production. It will be implemented. Now this is also important. It will be implemented by an important body called the Pharma and Medical Bureau of India. Pharma and Medical Bureau of India, which was earlier called the Bureau of Pharma PSUs of India. Clear? So this is important, and the medicines will be procured both from the government PSUs as well as the private manufacturers. That is PMBJY. This is all that you need to know in terms of this scheme. Clear? Now please be ready to attempt the next question. Consider the following statements. Very important again. Please attempt this question and then we will discuss it. Just a few seconds, everyone. Done? Let's discuss this. Let's check how many of you have voted for which answer. Alright, so 50% of you have voted for B. Let's analyze this question. First statement, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has launched the PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendra scheme. So basically it is to promote the Samriddhi Kendras. What are these Samriddhi Kendras? Let's discuss this. But first of all, let's understand that this is an incorrect statement. This particular statement or this particular scheme was launched by, again, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Is this clear? So Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Now I will tell you why this scheme is launched by Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. The Samriddhi Kendras that it hopes to establish will basically be the one-stop place for farmers to buy their agri inputs. So what will be these Samriddhi Kendras? These Samriddhi Kendras will be the areas where the farmers will buy their agri inputs. Agri inputs in the way seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. will be bought at these places. These kendras will also be areas which will be influential or important in the context of awareness generation. So any farmer that is coming to this particular kendra will be educated about all the schemes that he or she is eligible for, and therefore awareness generation is also an important area for these kendras. These kendras will also have a soil testing facility. So soil testing facility which will in a way make the farmer more aware of which kind of agri inputs he or she should be using based on the soil testing results that he could possibly get. Clear? So these are the Samriddhi Kendras, which is why they are not by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. They are by the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Is this understood? First statement is incorrect. Second statement, PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendra will aim to establish centers where farmers can buy all agricultural inputs and will also have facilities of soil testing. Absolutely correct. Third statement, the main objective. Now this statement is talking about a different scheme. The scheme is PM Pranam. The main objective of the PM Pranam scheme is to reduce the consumption of excessive irrigation and increase the adoption of precision agriculture. Absolutely incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. It does not. The main motive is not to reduce excessive irrigation, but the main motive is to use excessive agricultural chemical use in the form of fertilizers and pesticides. So the main agenda is to reduce chemical fertilizers. The chemical fertilizers under the PM Pranam scheme. Clear? So third statement is incorrect. First and third are incorrect. Only the second statement is correct. Therefore making A as our answer. A as our answer. Clear about this? Yes. So A is the answer. Alright. Let's discuss this particular question. Alright, PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendra. This is an initiative of Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. There will be a one-stop destination for all agri inputs, for seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. Also information and awareness generation centers. Soil testing facilities will also be provided. Second scheme is important. It is called Program for Restoration, Awareness Generation, Nourishment and Amelioration of Mother Earth Earth, basically giving Mother Earth the relief from agricultural chemicals that are used and that are degrading, in fact leading to a lot of soil pollution and other issues. So this is the objective of this Pranam scheme, is to reduce the amount of fertilizer use and pesticide use particularly. Is there a separate amount? Is there a separate amount that is given for this particular scheme, allocated for this scheme? No separate fund is allocated for this scheme. Rather basically what the amount is provided is governments give a fertilizer subsidy to the fertilizer manufacturing companies, right? So what the government will do is it will analyze states, and those states that are able to reduce the fertilizer use in their areas, for instance, they will check the 3-year average use. 3-year average use of fertilizer in a given state, and if they are able to reduce that fertilizer use as compared to the 3-year average, then 50% of the fertilizer subsidy that is foregone by the government, that is not now required to be given by the government because the use has become lesser number of fertilizers are required, lesser number of fertilizers are sold, so the subsidy burden for the government will also decrease. So the reduced subsidy burden, 50% of the reduced subsidy burden will be given to state as an incentive under this scheme. Clear? So that is PM Pranam. Clear? So the plan entails granting 50% of the saved fertilizer subsidy resulting from decreased chemical fertilizer usage to the given particular states. So that is an incentive given to the states, not a separate fund. So whatever is in the fertilizer subsidy, allocated in the fertilizer subsidy, but for instance that is not being used or that has reduced as compared to the earlier times because the use or the demand for fertilizer is decreasing. So that particular subsidy burden now will be given as an incentive to states. Is this clear? Yes? So that is PM Pranam Yojana. If this is clear, let's move on to our next question. Consider the following statements. Important question again. Please attempt this, then we will discuss this. This is the last question, everyone. Please attempt the question. Done? Let's discuss this. All right. Consider the following statements. Swamitva scheme. The Swamitva scheme aims to provide, statement 1, aims to provide the record for rights to village households. Basically to provide property cards so that village disputes or property related disputes can be minimized. A lot of villagers, in terms of a lot of village household owners are given proper property cards in order for them to even avail a lot of benefits on the same. Okay, so Swamitva Yojana is to provide the record of rights to village household owners. That is correct, the objective. But the problem with statement 1 is the ministry is not correct. The ministry is not Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, but it is Ministry of Panchayati Raj. It is the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, which is implementing the Swamitva Yojana. Clear about this? Not Ministry of Rural Development, Ministry of Panchayati Raj. That is the important part. Along with a lot of state revenue departments. Clear? So first things first, let's also see how many of you have voted. A lot of you, maximum percentage of you have voted for B. Let's analyze the answers. The second statement says, under Swamitva scheme, the property cards will be prepared using accurate measurements done using the Cartosat satellites involving remote sensing. That is absolutely incorrect. There will be technology used. There will be technology used in order to map the areas for making these property cards, but it will not be using the remote sensing of the Cartosat satellite, but it will be using drones. Clear about this? Point number 2, everyone. So under the Swamitva scheme, property cards will be prepared using accurate measurements done by drones and not Cartosat. So second is also incorrect. What about the third statement? The Drone Didi scheme. The Drone Didi scheme aims to provide drones free of cost. Now just look at this particular statement and see if it is viable. This is the logic that I'm talking to you about. That apply some logic, the questions or the statements will become easier. Will it be possible to provide drones free of cost to 15,000 women? And why just 15? How will you do a coverage if you are just providing it to 15,000 women? The coverage is not, the problem of coverage is not solved. So that is the problem. A, it is not viable, and B, even if we do that, why will we just do it for, or will be trying to cover only 15,000 women? So the idea is, first of all, the problem is it is not given free of cost. Okay, first of all, not free of cost. A capital subsidy is provided. A part of the project, a part of the amount of money that is required to buy a drone is provided. 80% of the amount to buy or purchase a drone is provided, but it is not completely free of cost. The second important fact is that it will be provided, this scheme, the eligibility is that it will be provided to 15,000 women SHGs, self-help groups, not individual 15,000 women. Clear about this? So third is important. It is incorrect, the statement. The Drone Didi scheme aims to provide drones free of cost. No, it is not free of cost, and it is not to individual women alone. It is to be given to a woman SHG, and that woman SHG will rent out these drones. Rental service will be available where they rent out this drone to other women, and they can basically use it for agricultural operations such as fertilizers, applying fertilizers, mapping their farmlands for applying pesticides, etc. So third is incorrect because of that. All right. So how many of the given statements is or are incorrect? Please make sure that you always read the keyword provided. Otherwise, even if a question that you know, you will not be able to answer that if the keyword is not given due attention. So which of the given statements is or are incorrect? All of the given statements are incorrect. Clear about this? Let's just quickly discuss this. Swamitva scheme. The Swamitva scheme, the full form is Survey of Villages and Mapping with Improvised Technology in Village Area Scheme. The objective is to provide property card. The objective is to provide proper land records. Okay, so provide property cards to all the village land householders, and that is so as to reduce the amount of land related disputes, etc. It's a central scheme. It's a central scheme, again implemented not by Ministry of Rural Development, but it is implemented by the Ministry of Panchayat Raj and a few state revenue departments. Okay, the aim is to provide property cards, and it will be done. The technology that is used is drone mapping. drone mapping, not statistics per se, not satellites per se. Record of rights of village household owners, and also they later will be geotagged. Geotagging is basically providing you're given a property criteria, you're given a property card, and the location, the geo coordinates of the location are also provided under that card. Clear? Drone Didi scheme. The Drone Didi scheme that we did was a central sector scheme. The aim is to empower what is happening. Right now we've seen a lot of the trend of feminization of women, feminization of agriculture, feminization of agriculture. Because of this, a lot of female farmers have to be empowered, and this is a particular scheme just for that. So drones will be provided to 15,000 women SHGs, and they will have the option of renting it out to other female farmers for agricultural operations. Clear? Training will also be provided. To particular female farmers in order to operate or fly the drone. Clear? And none of these SHGs will be given the amount of capital support or subsidy support if the training is not provided. So training is mandatory in order to avail the subsidy. Clear? So it is not free of cost. These are what will be formed in MCQs. So you do not have to worry about other complicated features of a scheme. Whatever can be made into an MCQ and has the potential of being wrong as a statement is already provided here. So it will not be free of cost to the SHGs. The government subsidy or the government will bear the burden of 80% of the cost of purchase. Even if you don't want to remember 80%, you can simply remember that a huge part of it will be provided by the government, not completely. Remember, not free. Yes? So subsidy of 80% will be given, and the SHGs then can purchase the drones and send it out as rentals, which can be used by women farmers. Clear about this? So this is the particular scheme that we did. And this is the last question we've addressed. None of the given statements were correct, and it was asking the incorrect. So D was our answer. With this, we've come to an end of today's session. Please make sure that you come back at the same time on the same platform tomorrow at 7:30. We will take up government schemes part 2. A lot of important schemes in the area of MSMEs, in the area of, for instance, infrastructural development will be taken up tomorrow. So hope to see you again tomorrow. Before going, please make sure that if you are looking to buy a new Plus subscription, the time is now. A lot of batches are going live on the Unacademy platform, and the prices are slashed to 29,999. So this is the best time to avail this offer. If at all you have any queries, feel free to call on this particular number and your queries will be resolved. With this, we've come to an end of today's session. Please do not get overwhelmed. Do not get overwhelmed with government schemes. Government schemes are to be done with a fine balance. Some schemes require us to dive in a lot of details, while some schemes are just to be done in the context of objectives. So don't get worried. A lot of MCQs were done and a lot of small pointers were taken up. Those also have the potential of being formed into a question. So make sure that you revise that as well. All right. With that, I will take your leave now. Thank you so much. If you have liked these sessions, please make sure that you shower some love in the form of comments, likes, and subscribe to the channel, of course. Please feel free to comment if there is any new information and answer a few questions that I've asked in the class. With this, I will take your leave. Thank you so much. Have a good night.